We're back. Salient Points number 63. This one's for April 5th, 2022. I'm Carlos Macias, the Master of Ceremonies here, as Dalan likes to call it. We also have Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir.
I like to call it Master of Arms, but it's very wrong.
Master of Arms. Okay, we can do Master. Dalan, look, this is your show.
Yeah, Master of whatever.
This is your show, Dalan. Okay, so if you want to,
and it's the United States of whatever.
If you want to call it Master of Arms, okay, that's a little throwback to like that 2001 song, or when was it from? It's like early 2000s.
I don't remember. I know I was in middle school at the time.
It was foolish, and I'm sure you enjoyed it. All right, I'm sure you enjoyed that song, Dalan Kirkwood. What's going on with your background, if I may ask? It's an interesting situation that you got going on in your background, Dalan.
This is a room filter. I'm still in that tiny little space.
Wait, this is a room filter? The lies we weave. Look, Luis is over here using a room filter, and I can see the artifacting and the blurriness or whatever. So, if you don't want to tell the world, Dalan, that's okay.
No. We had an empty room upstairs, so I came up so people could sleep. So here I am.
Oh, okay. Congratulations, Dalan. Okay. We also got Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Our percentage disparity is increasing.
It's pretty like Dalan was missing last week. Was it last week, Dalan?
I tried not to, but apparently I couldn't show up at Luis's house unannounced, so I guess that's not.
No, it was a technical thing. It was from what I understand, it was a technical thing, like the mics and the things and the check-ins and the savings just wasn't lining up, that kind of thing. But
dude, I could have been here.
As you guys can tell, there's no Dale Bloss this week. He's kind of handling some stuff. We won't put his business out there. I don't know when he comes back. He'll decide to share. He might be sharing it on Twitter. So if you guys follow him on Twitter, I'm sure he'll say something about what he's been up to. But we'll get right into it, man. And this is one of those weeks where we kind of like just barely missed the cutoff point. We did talk about it last week, how PlayStation is version of Game Pass, basically their PlayStation Plus, Essential, Extra, Premium. They got so many names, dude. They got so many things that they're trying to make happen, but it's basically their version of the Game Pass. We did talk about it last week that it was coming, and as soon as the podcast went up, of course, Sony confirms it. But that's kind of the top story here. Sony did confirm that they are coming out with PlayStation's version of Game Pass. The first one is PlayStation Plus Essential. That one's basically the same thing we've been paying for the last however many years since PS3. And then there's PlayStation Plus Extra, which is $100 a year. That's going to give you up to 400 PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games. And then there's PlayStation Plus Premium, which is $120 per year. That's up to 340 games. That means PlayStation 3. This is key. PlayStation 3 via cloud. So not a download version of PS3. And then they were a little tricky with the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 and PSP games. They did say some will be available for download. So that's a little trickier of a wording there. I don't know about you guys, but this definitely seems like I think we did talk about it a little bit last week as well, that this is basically the Nintendo expansion pack, right? It's like, we know you love old games. Pay up the ass for them, all right? Please to enjoy paying $120 for the classic games. But we'll start off with you, Dalan. What are your thoughts now that these things are confirmed?
I feel comparing Nintendo to PlayStation in this case it's a huge disparity in this case. I feel like that when it comes to Nintendo's little expansion pack thing going on, the fact is those games we've already played. For the PlayStation and their gigantic library, there's going to be a lot of games on there that we never got a chance to play.
Yeah, but I mean, instead of giving us with Game Pass, the main thing is that you're getting games day and date, right? Brand spanking new games day and date.
That's the thing for you. People are still going for their Xbox 360 games a lot.
No,
people
are still
going back for their old games. I mean, people get a chance to now play Yakuza and all this stuff.
I get that.
I know there are people that missed out on Uncharted.
Dalan, I get that, but Game Pass and with Xbox backwards compatibility, they let you go back and through all these Game Pass library or whatever, or even through like the older games that you have. They go back to the OG Xbox and they don't charge you $120 for it.
No, you just got to pay for the actual game that that is not on your list.
Yeah, so I think it's BS. It's complete BS. I know you're like, people haven't played some of this thing, but it's really like, because you really are gonna dip into that all that catalog, right? I'm sure, but for how long, really? Like, and they're like, it's $120 for that privilege. We're not giving you anything extra. We're not giving you brand new games day and date. And the PS3, we're giving it to you via cloud. So they still haven't figured out the emulation as far as the PlayStation 3 is concerned to do it locally. They're still doing it through their cloud service. But
you're renting a Blockbuster video game area. You just got a whole library of a whole bunch of games, where Xbox, it is actually very limited in the number of games that they have listed there before you have to start purchasing them.
So you're saying this is a better let me get this right, Dylan. You're saying this is a better deal than Game Pass, is what you're saying.
I'm saying it's a competitive deal, simply because I understand that Game Pass is dropping brand new games day one.
Yeah.
Which is a good reason to actually get Game Pass and be there day one. But then again, they don't have 350 games or 400 games on their library for you to just play anytime you want. And
they do. Well, I mean, they have it as your library, right? And if you've downloaded these games going back to the OG Xbox 360, the Xbox One, you have these games. You already have them.
Yes.
You have that ability to play them.
Yeah, but the same thing goes for PlayStation with or without this new PlayStation Premium.
Well, not really, because you can't really do backwards compatibility on the PS5. Besides PlayStation 4,
you
can't do PS3 games. You can't do PS3 games.
There's a certain time. There's a certain time that it dials back before PlayStation used to say no until this happened.
Okay,
but I'm pretty sure there's still going to be games missing from this library where I'm going to be like, I have this on disc. Why can't I play this on my PS5 or PS4?
And they're not even really offering that either, right? They're not saying, like, if you have this game, just pop it in. It's like, no, you need to be a part of this service, right? Like, they're also kind of saying that as well. Luis, help us out here, man. Me and Dalan are at odds, but that's okay. Luis, what are your thoughts?
You know why we're really at odds? I'm sorry, I'm going to say this because I was going to mention it.
I just said Luis, but go ahead, Dalan.
Yeah, I know. I said. I apologize.
Sure, you cut him off a few times, Carlos.
Okay, that's fair. That's appropriate. What's up, Dalan?
One of the biggest comparisons is that price, because you could actually pay an additional $60 a year and get those extra 340 games. Unlike Xbox, where it's $15 a month. After 4 months, you're still paying $60.
Yeah, the math.
It's the math.
Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? Do you agree kind of the direction they're taking with their version of Game Pass?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily agree or disagree. I would more so just say that this is exactly what I expected would be their premium service or premium offering. Because when all the leaks were coming out about what their service would be, this is exactly what it said. And then all the, replies on the Twitter threads or whatever, like, oh, are they going to have day one games? And they're like, no. Like, it literally was, that's what it was saying.
Yeah, and we have been talking about it for weeks right now, knowing that that's not what they're doing. So it is fair to say that, right? Like, you're disappointed at something we basically knew. Because Bloomberg was like, this is confirmed. You guys just don't believe us because they haven't said it yet. But
going back a little bit, when Dalan said his initial opinion, maybe 15 seconds into it, you're like, all right, Dalan, what is your opinion? What do you think about this offering? And then he started talking about it like, no, you're wrong. And he immediately started countering his
It's fair. That's very fair. Look, I mean, but they're taking advantage of people that way. I disagree, but that's fine.
If you purchase it, yeah.
Yeah. But so one of the things that, Jim Ryan, he's a PlayStation boss over there. He did come out, and of course they asked him why no day and date releases, and he said because, quote, we feel if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation 2 Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. He also said that the new library will include all the big names. Every major publisher will be included in the PlayStation Plus game library. So he's kind of I did read a little bit more about what he was saying, but he's kind of saying that, like, it encourages studios to make games at that high quality, right? If they're not being kind of wrapped up into day and date, right? Which is what we would expect, right? We would expect Insomniac. We would expect, like, the big studios that they have, like the Horizons, God of Wars, to come in day and date. So I don't know. I don't know if that like like I don't know if people are like, oh, if we're gonna be on Game Pass or PlayStation Premium, like, oh, that's not gonna be it's a virtuous cycle that is broken. Does that make sense?
It's not lucrative.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? That's kind of the idea, right? Luis, you're a developer. You're a resident developer here. Does that make any sense to you? What he's saying, like that there would be a virtuous cycle broken?
Me personally, as a singular human being that would be working on a project like this, it wouldn't incentivize me to not work as hard because it's going to be on day one. But I think overarching as like a company and the business side of it, maybe they would sort of be like, oh well, we could cut that feature, I don't know, maybe that's a decent point probably, but yeah, I don't know. Who knows if at some point down the line they'll figure out the logistics of how they could start integrating newer titles into it. Because I'm trying to think back, and I don't believe Game Pass had like as obviously didn't have as big of an offering as they do now. But I think most games were older games, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean they had like a transition, right, where it was like this is a Game Pass library, and then little by little they did start to bring in their games. Like there's even like some games that are still to this day not on Game Pass, like Rare Replay I think is not on Game Pass. I think the separate games on there like Perfect Dark and Banjo-Kazooie separately they're available, but not Rare Replay. So there was like a transition period where Game Pass was like, okay, going forward all our games are day one on Game Pass, right? So it's possible that PlayStation maybe to them it's like, oh, it makes sense for us to put our games day one, right? And I mean, you do make a fair point with, we see it with Halo Infinite, right? That they're even like, there's a developer on Halo Infinite that has come out and said like, oh, the fans are kind of fed up, or they're at their wits' end as far as like having patience with us to bring out these features. So in a way, it's kind of like, okay, we're on Game Pass. We're going to give them as much as we can give them, and then later on co-op and all this other stuff. So, it's fair to say. It's fair to say that if you're on Game Pass, it changes your perspective a little bit, right? That your game will live there. Dalan, your thoughts on this? I mean, you did give us some thoughts on it as well, but anything else?
Well, I think we've actually talked about the fact that with games coming out day one on Game Pass, it feels like or at least for the regular Joe Schmo like us, I feel like they're losing money right off the bat. Because I'm not paying for their full game. I'm just renting their game from the major company of Xbox and Microsoft themselves. Yes, they paid the money to actually get it day one on their Xbox Game Pass. But what if they made way more money than that by releasing it just out in the wild at full price without having it for free on the Game Pass? So you actually have that wonder of, would I have made more money? And then these companies may look at it and say, you know what? I don't know if this game is going to succeed like that. So let's not put as much work into it, but let's still release it on Game Pass and see what we can get out of it. Yeah, it's kind of like looking at Crackdown 3. We weren't sure if that was going to be a good game. I'm fine with it coming out on Xbox Game Pass, and it deserved to be there, unfortunately. But for Halo, it's like I understand the point that you were making, but if they were going to release a broken game and come out with features later, why didn't they just postpone the game? Everybody else was doing it in the middle of this COVID-19 situation. I don't see why they didn't just wait. They could have waited. We would have waited.
We did. They did push it for about a year.
We would have waited longer.
And we're still waiting on some
now.
of those features. But yeah, it'll be interesting because I think those are also fair points, man. I think they've also said that those are salient points because I think that was one of his counters as well, Jim Ryan, that he came out and said, like, look, to be honest, the full purchase of a game makes up about this is just rough numbers, right? But you're talking about like it makes up about $80 billion, and the subscription services makes about $4 billion, right? So I think this is like things that I've said it before on the podcast, but I think it's one of those things where it's not really like you could tell, right? Because they're like 120, you could play all these old games, right? You could tell they're not that serious about it like Xbox is serious about it, where PlayStation is like being dragged kicking and screaming into this subscription. Like, we gotta give them a subscription.
We gotta do it.
That's really what it is, right? Like, there's like, we have to give them something.
PlayStation now ain't working. We gotta figure something out.
Yeah, no, I think it is working. I think it
is working. It was working.
Yeah, I think it's really more of a thing where like we want to have something that gives them value, but not too much value, right? We still want to make money, and I still think they sell a lot of their games, and I think it's a matter of Xbox have to get creative and have to be strategic about like, what do we do, right? We can't give the world our actual hardware units. So
Xbox was kind of failing for a little while there. They really ended up figuring it out, because there was that point where you were looking at PlayStation, you were looking at Xbox, and everybody was just like, why would I get an Xbox? I'm just going to go with a PlayStation. Yeah. Like that era when they had to connect and trying to figure that whole world out. Oh, man, that was so nasty.
Well, they
even had that thing where they even had that thing where they were like, you have to be connected to the internet or your Xbox won't work.
Well, that was part of the reason I'm sure that Xbox One failed, man, because they're like, you have to have Connect, and it's $500, and it was the hubris. It was the hubris of like the PlayStation 3 era, where they were like, you will get a second job. So all these companies kind of go through their rise and fall, right? Like it was.
I forgot about that.
It's PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, right? They're kind of on a rise, and then PS3, you will get a second job. It's $600, right? It looks like the George Foreman grill, but that's fine. They sort of failed with that one. Xbox 360 had their rise, and then they fell sort of with the Xbox One, right, when they released that. So it's really like all these companies have had their ups and downs, right? And they're all trying to kind of strategize and figure. Yeah, Nintendo's just, they beat to their own.
Hey, don't worry about Nintendo. They're doing just fine.
They beat to their own drum. And also, like I said, they're also trying to figure out a subscription type of thing, because that's really the holy grail, right? You want people to forget that they have a subscription and that it's there. But the gamers sort of won, man. I don't know if you guys were able to take advantage of this, but they did exploit that, like all the gamers out there. We like to min-max and all that, but there was a PlayStation Now. You could get a PlayStation Now 12-month subscription. What happens with that PlayStation Now subscription, actually, it converts 1-to-1 to where you would get the PlayStation Plus Premium. People figured this out. So instead of paying $120, you were paying $60, and people were stacking them for years and years and years. After Wario64 kind of put it out there, it was like within 24 hours, Sony was like, not available anymore. I think if you get the PlayStation Now cards, if you guys happen to have those out there in the wild, right, they might have sold them about 12-month options. I would assume they would still kind of convert that way. But yeah, that was kind of the gamers won a little bit. So whatever it is, you get the old library, like you were saying, Dalan, you got it for cheap, at least, right? The same price as you would for PlayStation Plus. But what are your thoughts on there, Dalan? Did you take advantage of this, by the way?
I did not. I figured out about it too late. But that's what gamers do. We figure these things out. We exploit the hell out of them. Yeah. That's it.
So the gamers won. I will say this, Dalan. I did text you it when it was available to you. You did not. I
was working at the time.
Check your text. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I was working.
You gotta work for a living. Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? Of course, we have to exploit this thing, right? The gamers have to.
I mean, somebody was gonna do it. I'm surprised. That's just a huge oversight on their part. I guess lost 100% of their revenue there, something for a handful of years, for who knows how many people.
People were stacking it. They're talking about like 10 years, dude, like 10 plus years. Like they stacked them hard.
It's like, I got this through 2029 right now.
Yeah, so they got that PlayStation Premium. So at some point, who knows, right? Maybe it does make sense to have a day and date release, right? And they're ready to go. They're gonna be ready. The other thing here that it kind of prompted was people on the internet were talking about like PlayStation 3 emulation is possible, but they've just never been incentivized, right? PlayStation has never been incentivized to be like, yeah, let's make it work. And it's notoriously difficult, right? The PlayStation 3 architecture was talking about what was that? Was it the Dream Engine or no? I think that was PS2. What was PS3? Emotion Engine or something like that?
I don't remember.
Some BS, right? Like the marketing
cores
BS.
Or whatever.
Yeah, they used a whole bunch of cores or whatever, which made it like it's away from the x86 structure, whatever that is. Like it's shit that's like it's bespoke, right? It's like you guys will make it for this because PlayStation is that big. So it's been notoriously hard to develop for, but this might mean that, and they were very particular about saying that the PlayStation 3 is via cloud, right? But maybe this means we actually get, they're incentivized to actually work on giving us a legit emulator, right, for their PlayStation.
Well, PS3 was when they first moved to Blu-ray, right? Yeah,
because
so
PS2
I was
is
just
the
thinking
DVD.
about the fact that they just had to have their different ways of actually implementing their games for that engine, especially being able to read so much data so quickly, or at least for the time when it came
Yeah, but
out.
I'm sure these systems read it. They only have to read it at least at that quality, right, or at that speed, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
made it work. They
Mm.
made it work.
So, what do you think, Dan? Will we get a proper PS3 emulation? You think now?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, they'll keep running it cloud based, huh? Which is
Oh, they don't
possible.
need to.
It's possible.
They'll either keep running it cloud based, or eventually they'll probably do what they did with the PS2 and put like a little extra emulation. I don't even know what to call it. I remember when the PS3 didn't have the PS2 compatibility, and for free they released this patch for the PS2, and you could only play certain games.
It was BS, dude. From what I understand, is the PlayStation 3, like it literally had like a PS2 inside of it or something like that to run the emulation. Not, the guts. So some of the guts
Yeah.
of the PS2, and that's why they were like, we're gonna stop emulating PS2 games. Like the later PlayStation 3 iterations. Right?
Hey, what they need to do, and they could do this and actually possibly make a good amount of money off of it, is make just a system called a PlayStation Classic or some shit that plays nothing but PS1, 2, and 3
Okay.
games. So
That's
people could actually get their physical games working.
They did do a PS1.
I mean, we got PS4.
They did do that PS1 classic console.
No, not
like
the same.
ones I have behind me right here. And
No, I'm talking about
and it
a
felt
fucking
terribly.
real one.
It felt terribly, and they quickly hacked that thing to like let you play all the PS1 games.
It
So
had
that was
rip
kind
data.
of cool.
Well, for that PS1 Classic, were you able to put physical discs in it?
No, I don't.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that they should make a system that is purely about backwards
Well, guess what,
compatibility, and they
Dalen?
can make a shitload
Well,
of
guess
money
what? They're
off
not
of
doing that no more because they're charging
because
you
they don't have
100
me in their marketing department.
No.
That's why.
No, because they're charging $120 now for that quote unquote privilege of doing that.
No, they're charging $120 for the quote unquote crappy emulated copies.
You're playing it on the cloud.
Privilege.
Yeah, for the privilege. I mean, we said that. Luis, your thoughts, man? Are we getting a proper PS3 emulation here or what?
I don't think so,
Okay.
but it would
Okay.
be nice
Okay.
because, at the time when I didn't have to get a second job. My mom got a second job and she got me a PS3. And I was not a gainfully employed human at the time, so
Yeah.
there's a handful of games I missed out on at the time.
Okay.
I got one from a
during
pawn
that
shop for
time.
$300 because somebody fucked up and couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Now, what do you have a little bit of possibly insight kind of on why would it be so hard or anything like that, Luis? Luis,
Who are you? Who are you, sir?
Who are you, sir? Any possible insight on like why it would be so hard? I guess to kind of get a PS3 emulator going or anything like
No clue. No,
Okay.
I have no idea.
that? Okay. So the next thing on there, so that's PlayStation Plus. We're gonna be dealing with that. I actually we'll end the topic this way. Luis, are you gonna upgrade any of your tiers, or you're just gonna keep the basic PlayStation Plus tier?
I'll probably stick on basic until I actually see what the offering is, like the list of games, and if at least like 5 or 10 catch my eye, then maybe I'll try it out for like a month or 3,
Okay.
and then kind of see where I go from there.
There you go.
Yeah, right now it's probably going to be on a trial basis. 'Cause
Dalan-
I was thinking the same
Dalan,
thing.
what about you? Same thing, Dalan. Like you are, do you want them to convince you first? Is that it?
First, I'm still not convinced by this freaking expansion for Nintendo. Why would I just jump on
Yeah.
board on the next crazy thing that came along in the whole summer camp of stupidity? I'm not doing that.
Oh damn! Summer camp of stupidity. Okay, Dalan, reason summer camp. Huh?
Time of stupidity.
It's pretty much look like we were. I would have definitely been right on time to get that like the PlayStation Plus, exploit the system and all that. But I'm kind of like I barely want to play for essential. What's gonna be essential now? So I think it's the same thing for me, right? I have to be convinced to like why. I mean. Maybe, but I gotta see, right? We gotta see the library. We gotta see how it goes, and on a trial basis, I'll be like, I just want to play 1 or 2 games out of this, right? I will say this.
I'm playing enough subscriptions. I got enough subscriptions in my life.
Exactly.
Netflix, Hulu.
Yeah.
You got HBO Plus, Apple.
I'm putting out my business out there, Dale. My subscription.
You'll be fine.
What are you doing over here?
You know, you subscribe to
but,
Stars, History
but,
Channel
Using the
Plus.
subscriptions.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely one of those things that we gotta wait and see, right? Because otherwise it's kind of like, it's kind of like the expansion for Nintendo. That it's like, we got to see what you guys are doing, man. Stop messing around. So I'll keep it on the essential one for now. The other thing is we did get official word that Breath of the Wild sequel was delayed to spring 2023, which I thought was a little funny because I was like, did we really have a release date? It was kind of like, I don't know if it was the Detroit. Yeah, I think you might have missed that episode, Luis, but we were talking about Detroit Become Human. He's like, how can we delay something that we never announced?
We don't have a date.
We don't have a date.
I was here for that.
You were here for that one? Okay. But I feel like it's the same thing for this, dude. I was like, did we really have like a specific date for Breath of the Wild? But now we know. Spring 2023. One of the questions I do have, whether it's Breath of the Wild, Luis, or this, but I don't know. Maybe we get a new Switch. Do you think it's too soon to get a new Switch in spring 2023? Like an upgraded, a little juiced up.
In one more year, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they are sort of, maybe they are trying to make those two line up so that they get another new Switch attach rate sort of situation going on.
Yeah.
That would make some sense, I guess. But
I'm sure we
cool.
get like
get ready for Labo 2.
I'm sure we get there you go, Dalan. I'm sure we get a Breath of the Wild 2 branded Switch, right? For me, I would hope it's kind of like a beefed up Switch, but we'll see, right? At least a branded one. Other than that, any thoughts on like the delay for that, Luis?
I'm cool with that, dude. Delay every game. Delay every game for the next 2 years. I have way too many games to play. Dude.
I got a backlog, and now we're gonna get a whole library. I think I'm good.
There you go. So yeah, I'm cool with it too, man. And I think I might want to go back and play the original too. Like finally beat it. Past just the one boss.
Hey man, I never got off the first plateau. Hey, you made me think. Paying for the PlayStation Plus subscription or the new one, whatever they wanted, the PlayStation Premium, it's like paying for a backlog library. Yeah, you're going to backlog every single one of those games.
I mean,
you're going to have it sitting there on your screen and be like, man, I really need to get to that game. You never get to that game.
I mean, Dalan, that was like my whole argument, dude. But like, whatever, man.
Hey, man,
whatever.
It's your whole argument. And I'm still thinking about the fact that you got those plastic, those games still sitting in plastic on your couch.
Hey, dude, my wife reminds me of that crap like every other day too. It's like, you have games in plastic. I'm like, well, I mean, I'll get around to them at some point. At some point, I have to retire, right? And I'll get to them. But at some point,
you still have a functioning system
at some point, I will have to retire. But no, you know what? The only thing that would actually kind of push me towards it a little bit more is if they added like trophies to PlayStation 1, PSP games. Then it's like, damn, it's open season. I should have taken advantage of exploiting the system.
Or part 2 of those games. You'll do it.
So we'll move on to quick takes here. Speaking of PlayStation, it's kind of interesting. They're talking about this PlayStation Plus Premium and blah blah blah, but apparently they cut 90 jobs in a quote unquote global transformation, and they're gonna be focusing more on direct to consumer marketing, whatever that means. I couldn't find any details as to what the f that means, but they definitely cut 90 jobs. I'm sure it means something, right? But as far as how it relates to PlayStation, I couldn't find it. But yeah, so they cut 90 jobs, yet they're announcing new initiatives, new programs, blah blah blah. What do you think this is about, Lise? What are your thoughts here on this?
They cut out Russia.
No, I don't think that's what it was. I don't necessarily know what that means in relation to like the way that they're switching up their subscription, if it has anything to do with that. But I did find it interesting that they didn't sort of try to brush it under the rug. Like it did kind of come out as the same announcement. So like, we're doing this, and by the way, we fired 90 people because we're doing this stuff now. So
it's
kind of interesting.
Like it's in between the PlayStation tiers or whatever. It's like just a sentence like, oh man, we're cutting 90 jobs. So just don't worry about that. But it is interesting, right? But I think companies kind of go through this stuff, right? Where they're going lean, quote unquote lean, or they gotta kind of the jobs are redundant, blah blah blah. Well, as far as like they even my desk is moving on me. As far as to, if you guys are watching the video, my desk just moved. But
it raised.
It raised for a moment. But it's something that companies go through. I mean, but it is kind of interesting, right? You would hope to keep all these jobs. The other thing here is that we have is Activision in an email is saying that the U.S. vaccine mandate is being lifted, and they actually are kind of expecting employees to come back to the office. This is according to our favorite reporter, Jason Schreier from over there in, I think he's on Bloomberg. He's in Bloomberg. And then Monday, which is yesterday, more than 100 Activision Blizzard employees participated in a virtual walkout yesterday. So this is kind of, getting a little interesting. I'll go with to you, Luis, since you're our resident developer. I know we're picking on you a little bit here, but it's people don't want to go back to the office, right? It's got to be a part of that. We're able to do our job, right? Not in the office, but another part, I'm sure some people are a little concerned. They might be high risk or whatever the case, and they're like, why do we need to go into the office, right, if we don't need to? Or what are your thoughts, I guess, on the situation that these guys are like, we don't want to, we're gonna virtual walkout over here?
I'd like to hope that they walked out of their own homes too. Like they turned off the computer and then
we turned off the computer, walked outside, and took a walk on the beach.
Yeah, but I mean, this was bound to happen at some point, and I guess they're one of the first to kind of pull the trigger. I don't know what the logistic or the terms are, because a lot of developers like Riot and I think I'm blanking on the name, but they kind of switched to a hybrid model where they're just like come in once a week to like meet up with the team, get in sync, and then you could work the rest of the days from home if you want.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're doing that or if they're just like, no, everybody just has to come back into the office. We're paying for this rent or whatever.
Yeah. That's got to be part of it, right? We're paying for this.
Probably.
You guys might as well be in the office. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. I don't know if it's, personally for me, it wouldn't necessarily be because I don't want to be exposed to COVID and this and that. It's just because it's working out. Like I'm working from home and it's working out. Everyone's getting their work done. We're still meeting deadlines. Like we're getting things done.
You got all the same things happening the same exact way. Just divert your funds to the places it needs to go now, and let the lease on the building lapse. Who cares?
Well, they care, Dalan.
Because I mean, people are saving money on gas and parking and lunch and all this stuff. So they're like, oh damn, like look at all this money I'm saving by just not having to drive to work, or time in general too. So yeah.
Yeah, and if the job itself doesn't require, right? Like you're saying, as long as people are accomplishing their tasks, I'm sure there's deadlines set or whatever. Whereas, like, as long as it's getting done, who cares, right? Why do we need to show up? Besides, like, a hybrid model, right? Like you were saying, it was like, okay, well, once a week, twice a week, or whatever the case might be, right? Kind of a hybrid situation like that. Dalan, your thoughts on this?
Well, being that most of us are work from home, the thing about the leasing of the building, I'm going to dime myself out here.
Oh,
our building for where I work, they dropped the lease on purpose. They are not renewing the lease for our building. And they said everybody is permanently work from home because we're doing just fine. Why would we go to the office when everybody now has a computer at home and we can make phone calls from the house? Why do I need to go to the office? We could do virtual meetings. If I need to get a hold of you, just be at your computer. Make sure your supervisor knows that you're there. I think the biggest adjustment is the need to be micromanaged and to try and ramp up productivity.
Yeah, that
would be the only reason.
Really
because because when you could actually just imagine everybody going home, and most of those people do not have work ethic. You're wondering if they're even going to get up in the morning to do their job. How many people called off? The problem with work from home is it can come with laziness. So having people come to the office, it forces people to not be lazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it comes down to like trusting your employees too, right? Like, but you are always going to have people.
Blizzard may not trust their employees. They may be like, nah, a lot of these people don't have the work ethic. Maybe Luis is okay, but Janet from down the street, she needs to bring her ass to the office.
Janet, it's always Janet, man. But it's. I mean, you would think in like these kind of jobs, like people would have some sort of like discipline or want to work at these companies, right? So you would think that they would be.
People don't want to work.
No, but what I'm saying is like it's a little different, right? Then it's like you work at a call center, now you're doing it at home. right? I think that might be a little different versus like these are highly skilled individuals, right? That they're specialized skill sets. Whereas like I do want to work and I'm trying to accomplish these things. But yeah, I mean, of course that's a part of it. Of course, these people are gonna be at home and like whatever. I'm just kind of slack off or whatever. But it just comes. I feel like in this case, these in this specific case, these people can be at home and do their job and they would be fine. Right. So, but I think a part of it is that, like you were saying, it's really like they're paying this rent. They're on a lease. So they might as well come in and, yes, incentivize productivity, right? With kind of like slapping them around a little bit. And by the way, this podcast, Salient Point, is brought to you by like 75% work from home, sort of, right? I think not to, I'm the 25%, and it sucks, dude. I know I could do a good amount of my job, right? Like it could be like
you've complained about this. Yeah, you're like, why don't we all just work from home? I could do interpreting from home.
My job could definitely be like I would be okay with like we need some staff, right? Like at least 1 or 2 interpreters in person, right? And then the rest of you work from home, right? Like that would be great, but I won't get into it too much. I don't think anyone at work listens to it, but, I won't get into too many details there. The next thing on here, E3 2022 is officially canceled. The ESA, who kind of puts this thing together, said, quote, E3 will return in 2023 with a reinvigorated showcase that celebrates new and exciting video games and industry innovations, which is a bunch of BS, but we'll let them have it. We'll let them believe that they're coming back next year. We were just at a game on Sunday release, right? We were watching the Clippers completely destroy the Pelicans, and right there by the Staples. Well, did I call it Staples Center? Staples/Crypto.com arena.
No, you can't slash that. You messed up.
You see I didn't mess up. You can call it whatever you want, man. It's not a mess up. You call it the Staples Center. It's fine. That's how I type it into my phone. I type it in as Staples Center. But when you come out, you see the building where the E3 Convention Center was a house, and I did tweet it out, and I was like, no shenanigans this year, huh? So you don't see any kind of the promotions. It might be a little early, right, Luis? I think, but in a month and a few weeks, we probably would have started seeing like Call of Duty advertisements or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that all the time because I would take the train and one of the stops goes right by that, and I remember like starting to see things pop up, like the flags on the poles, the whatever banner takes up the most space on the side. Like it got you hyped up, and now that's hasn't been there for a while.
It's not gonna happen, right? But what
the circus tent is coming down.
What are your thoughts on this, Luis? That it's kind of like whatever, right? It should feel more of a like mourning, right? Like more like, oh damn, that sucks, but it's kind of like meh, whatever, man, whatever.
I guess at this point it has sort of been a little. People have been dropping out doing their own things, even when it was happening, right? It was like Ubisoft was down the street, like we're doing our own thing, literally right next to E3 at the same time, or whatever. I don't think they know what that means. All those nice little words, industry innovations and showcase celebrating video games or whatever, but they're just trying to revamp whatever they're doing. So if they kind of want to take the time to not force it this year and then see if they can kind of bounce it back next year, then I'm wishing nothing but success for them. But we'll see, man. Because it was nice going out there and running into people and seeing what's up. And
that's really what it was, right? That was like the big thing, really. It wasn't necessarily like a lot of the things that you saw game wise, but it was the fact that you had all these people together, right? People that wrote about the industry, people that did like media content, and people that worked on the games, and they just kind of, you would stump. That was kind of the more exciting. It wasn't, the times I went to E3, I went for about 4 or 5 years. The times that I went to E3, it wasn't like oh damn, I got to play Sonic Generations for the first time, or the new Nintendo game, or blah blah blah. It was really like I just ran into Yuji Naka right now. and I just ran into like I was in the elevator with them or whatever, It's kind of like
it's like I just met Keiji Inafune. Oh man, there's Hideo Kojima. I get to see him in person.
I think one time I ran into him. But it's all these cool things, right? That the industry kind of brings it together, which will be unfortunate, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, E3, what are you guys doing, man? You guys gotta make it happen, right? You gotta make it an exciting place that people actually want to bring all their
swag. I ran one of those PlayStation Plus backpacks. Xbox down to the ground, dude. I used that thing for like 2 years.
Yeah, I
It
think I
was
have
quality.
that one. I might have that one too. I might have that. See, they would have done a PlayStation Plus premium version.
They would have.
But now they can't. The next thing we have on here, there is some reports saying that Xbox might be introducing a Xbox Game Pass family plan. Thank you for helping me with that, Dalan. Family plan. This is, quote, according to trusted sources familiar with Microsoft's efforts, we can now confirm that Xbox is moving ahead with an Xbox Game Pass family plan, which should be set to launch sometime this year. And this is according to Windows Central. Not too many details, but we can kind of make the assumption, right, that the family plan is probably similar maybe to like the Switch one, right, where you pay a little more, but you have access to different consoles, have access to the game. The family plan. Is this something that you guys kind of been hoping for, Dalan? Have you been kind of hoping for a Game Pass family plan?
They needed this. They very much needed this. And on top of that, I believe that there was the news that it was going to be up to 5 family members or something like that, which would be very nice to have, because it's one of those things that even if you don't have an extra Xbox, it would be nice to be able to just pay one subscription on one Xbox and then have the family member like your wife or your daughter be able to play those their own games on the Game Pass instead of having to be on your account and then not getting anything under their own name. I mean, why make your own? Why would you make your own username if you can't use the same stuff that the other people have? Then you're paying extra money, a full extra subscription to try and get the same stuff.
Yeah, I would have to check. I think it might be like a separate login. I think this is kind of more like family and friends type of thing, because as long as it's on the same console, like for example, my daughter plays games on the Xbox and all that. She has access and she can use her own name. As far as I understand, I think maybe I gotta kind of dig into it a little bit more. But there's never been an issue where like she needs to sign in with mine because it doesn't let her take advantage of Game Pass. But I think this would be more of a family and friends thing, right? It's like, hey, here you share, these people are in my family.
Friends.
That they're not, right? But I
that
guess
is probably what's gonna happen.
That's what's gonna happen.
Hey,
right?
we're gonna keep it kosher. Luis, stop diming. Stop diming
us out. But Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? Did we need we need this thing?
I was gonna say, because I'm pretty sure it is what you're saying. It's not like you need to be on one user. It's similar to like PlayStation, where as long as the main account holder has that set as their active PlayStation, like the main one, then any user on that PlayStation has access to that library.
Yeah.
Wait, is that how it is now?
That's how it is, as far as I understand. Well, on even Game Pass, maybe we need to try it out. We need to do our own.
I'm pretty sure that's what Game Pass is.
We need to do our investigative.
Have an Xbox.
Yeah, we need to do our
own.
But
what I was gonna say,
we'll
investigate. We'll investigate. So what I was gonna say though is, I think if you're fortunate enough to be able to purchase and own 5 Xboxes and under a single roof, maybe an extra $15 a month isn't going to break the bank, right? So I don't know what their plans are with this. If they're going to go the route of like what a bunch of these subscription services are doing now, where like you have to be on the same IP address and this and that, whatever. Then it might not be a family and friends situation. It might have to
just
be
family.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I don't know, man. We got VPNs.
Okay, Dalan. Okay. See, the thing that would make sense for me, Luis, is like, look, I don't know if you mind me saying this, but like you have YouTube TV, right? You're like the owner of the YouTube TV, but I'm kind of under that YouTube TV thing, right? That's kind of how this would make sense, I would assume, right? Like where there's a person that has the actual subscription, and then it's like, psh, here, I'm adding a few people here. They're gonna be in their own Xbox in their own home, and they have Game Pass, right? That's how I would see it make sense, but we don't have the details yet. The next thing we have on here, this one's for you, Dalan. Capcom will be raising employees' base salary by 30% in Japan after 5 consecutive years of record profits, which is kind of cool, man. I think some of these Japanese companies are a little quiet about how they're doing because they're not doing that great sometimes, but it's kind of, Capcom has had, plenty of hits, right? We're thinking what, Monster Hunter, the Resident Evil games, right, have been probably successful. So
Street Fighter made their bounce back. They're doing plenty of things. They're making movies out there.
We'll see what they do.
Shows.
We'll see if they right the ship with that nonsense that was Street Fighter 6 reveal. We'll see what happens with that, right?
Logo.
Nice little logo that they apparently got from a stock photo thing or something like that, clip art. But
R.I.P. Sega.
Hey, Sega's doing things, I think. But Dalan, what are your thoughts on this, man? That the fact that Capcom's like, all right, here we're gonna give you some little raise here.
Hey, those Capcom workers have been going overtime. So regardless, I kind of think they deserve it. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, why can't I get raises every year like that?
This was your thought process, Dalan, when you heard this. Why can't I get a raise? Okay. Hey.
So I need to get a better job. I like my job, but I need a better job.
Dude, you need to go make Resident Evil 8, man. That's what you need to do. What is that? That was a comment. Yeah, exactly. You make your story, 4-week story on the can, and Resident Evil 4. Here it goes. Is that the thought process there, Dave? You just want to raise as well. The other thing we have on here before we move on to what you've been playing. So there's the Russian studio behind Loop Hero is actually telling players to go pirate their game due to sanctions. This is according to Eurogamer. I think that's kind of interesting, I suppose. But Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? The fact that they're like, pirate our game. Damn it!
You can't buy it. Go steal it.
Go. Yeah, I mean, I guess it. Like, I don't are they under the hopes that like someone that pirates it will be once the sanctions are lifted? They're like, okay, well now that I can actually give them money, I will give them money for this game. I don't. Maybe they're just like, as long as somebody plays it, man. Like, because we can't get it to X amount of people. Though this game's been out for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been
right?
for about a year or so. I know Jeremy was kind of like
playing it on his beefy PC.
Yeah,
this 2-pixel game or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I always make fun of him for that. I was like, you have the most amazing computer to play MOBAs and to play a 2D pixel game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? That they're like, look, just grab it however you can. It's fine. It's fine. We're kind of at war, which I think it might be one of those things, right? Where they're like, you know what, crap is happening. Just pirate it. It's fine. It's okay. We'll sanction it. So that's what's going on over there. And yeah, there wasn't anything too crazy this past week. We'll move on to a little bit of what you've been playing here. Luis, what have you been playing before me and Dalan get into a little bit of Dying Light 2, I suppose. But Luis, what you been getting down?
Oh, spoilers, Carlos.
We'll let the people know.
What?
Yeah,
he does that on occasion.
Yeah, I'll let the people know. What you been?
But so I've been, as I have been kind of talking about the past few what you've been playing. I'm kind of chipping away at games that I've had in progress for a very long time that I just haven't finished. And one of those that I'm pretty sure I'm close to finishing was Pokemon Arceus. So I'm like, let me just knock this one out and I can move on to something else. So chipping away at that one. I think I'm down to like the last quote unquote boss, I guess.
Okay.
And
is it feeling like a chore? Because you said I'm just gonna knock this one out and move on. Like, I don't care about this game anymore. I just want to beat it just so I can say I did.
No. I like the game a lot. It's just other games took my attention away, like Horizon Forbidden West, and then I went back to Assassin's Creed GTA 5. The expanded and enhanced version came out, so like I just got drawn away from it.
Put the camera on me, Dalan. Stop logging into GTA 5. There.
Speaking of logging into GTA 5, that's the other game I played this week. I was playing GTA 5 online by myself for two reasons.
He's so lonely.
Reason number one, I'm so lonely out there in Los Santos, dude. It's kind of sad. But so when I transferred the character from PS4 to PS5, they delete that character on PlayStation 4, so it is impossible to play this character on PlayStation 4. So now I can't play with Prue, one of the two other people I used to play with.
Dang.
Okay, I didn't know.
You can't even do cross-play with
it?
Now
he has to get a PS5, right?
Okay.
Not just
didn't he have like 7 or just open a boxy box?
So
Damn,
he opened the box to charge his vape. He opened the box to charge his vape, put it away, and then said that it was still at closed resale value or whatever.
Hey, I hope.
And then too,
I hope his market isn't watching this box like this motherfucker. I knew I had a vape.
Is this cable been used?
It really has been used on a vape to charge a vape, but
yeah. Effing scalpers.
Now, Luis, did it tell you that when you were doing it? Did it tell you?
It did tell me that, and I said yes, please.
I don't want to do PS4 graphics no more.
I mean, to be honest, I did think I sat on that screen and thought about it for like 3 to 5 minutes, and I was like, all I gotta do is hit X, my guy. So I hit X.
Okay. You're like, you know what? I'm going for it.
The second reason, and I was playing here and there, trying to do some heists and stuff with Jonathan, but moment of silence, rip in peace to Jonathan's baby, his child, his PlayStation 5 just starts shutting off whenever he plays PS5 games. So
he had to send it off. He had to send it off, dude. He had to send it off
to get taken care of in the funny farm or whatever. So.
That's nasty.
So,
the system hasn't been out for more than 2 years.
Yeah, rip in peace, dude. But yeah, so now I'm out there just trying to do stuff by myself because nobody else is playing it. You know,
And you know, me and Dalen could play with you. We
you
could.
won't.
We would have the ability.
I think my game is still installed.
Dalen is more likely to play with you, I guess. But
And
I would consider it. I will upgrade at some point, right? I'll have to upgrade, I guess.
Oh wait, do I have to upgrade in order to play with you?
You need the PS5 one now.
Well, the
How much
online is free.
That's an extra like $15, right?
It's like
It's
10,
free.
I think. No.
The upgrade is free.
Online standalone is free. The actual full game is original. It will revert to $40. It is $10 right now if you want the game and online. It's on sale for like 3 months.
I'm gonna do it. But
Damn,
the
I'm
online
gonna
is
have to do
free.
it.
But the online is free. He just has to kind of transfer his character, right? It's the thing.
And then
Yeah,
never go back to
it'll do it
PS4
automatically
ever
for you.
again.
No,
Hey, it's a good thing I got that game on digital now. Now I can't say I sold it no more.
Hey, now the nasty part about Jonathan though, he did have to pay like for the repair too, right? It was like under warranty.
it
or
was out of
something.
warranty. I think.
That is
Yeah.
weird, dude. Like, what's the
Wait, it
warranty?
was not under warranty?
No.
Damn. He's dealing with some shit. Dalen, we've been playing some Dying Light 2.
Hey,
co-op.
hey, calm down. Slow your roll.
Hey, we don't need a moment of silence for that. It was just painful. Dying Light 2. Oh, that's what you've been playing?
No.
Basically?
Well, see, I have other things listed, and you cut Luis off. Luis, you got anything else you've been playing? Anything that you didn't put on this nice list of yours?
No, that's it. You guys can blow your load on Dying Light 2.
No, well, we'll
Hey,
talk.
no.
Dalen, we'll talk Dying Light, so I'll get to Chrono Trigger afterwards. But let's get to Dying Light, and then we will get to the other stuff.
What about my other games?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about your other games, but Dying Light.
I don't
2,
like you.
Just to kind of mix it up, so it's not one person talking for like a million hours. You know what I'm saying? Dying Light 2.
Yeah,
Dylan,
all right,
what's
fine.
been going on with Dying Light 2?
I've been hating Dying Light 2. Fuck
Oh,
Dying
damn.
Light 2.
Oh, okay.
Nah,
Yeah.
seriously, no. Man, I've had such the worst experience to play Dying Light 2 with you. And it's not even because of you. It's because of the game. Man, Dying Light 1, at least when people talk, their mouths didn't break mid-sentence. All right? Dying Light 2, their mouths are breaking. Zombies are disappearing. There would be points where the runners at night, they would just like bamf in front of me and then they would disappear. There would be a certain number of zombies and then there's not that certain number of zombies. What else was that? Many things were happening.
There was one on my end where like we cut up a zombie and it was just standing. It was missing its head and its arms, and it was just standing there. And I was like, Dalan, look to your right. And you're like, yeah, what? You couldn't see it, but on my screen, I could see just a body just standing, a dead, bloodied zombie body. And I took a little picture of it. And
don't forget the progression kept breaking. There was that point when we were in that tower or whatever, and we were trying to kill those two guys, but one guy kept disappearing. So we couldn't finish the objective. There was a point where we were underground trying to open a door. All we had to do was pick the lock. It did not give us the option to pick the lock.
That was on the same
we
one.
were just sitting there.
That was on the same
No,
one.
that was earlier. That was way earlier.
No,
but
but
we were just dying.
the one where like there was two bosses we had to take out. One of them kept like disappearing on us and kept like coming back. And then when we finally beat one of them, it wasn't triggering the fact that we had to like open up the.
You had to twist the valve. Yeah. But no, way before that we were underground and we were in the tunnels and we were like running through or something like that before we got caught by the GRE. Yeah. Or whatever the name of the other renegade faction is. We were running the Peacekeepers. We were running. We were trying to catch up to the Peacekeepers, but there was a door that we needed to open, and we could not pick the lock. We literally had to kill ourselves and reload the section, kill the zombies again, and then pick the lock because it wasn't processed.
It's wacky, but I think what was holding our attention or holding us kind of continuing, I was like, oh, it feels like it's almost over. It's like, no, they introduced Rosario Dawson. They introduced a new like flight mechanic, and we're like, no, we are not. And those memories came flooding back when they're like, this game's gonna take 500 hours, and the internet like rose up, right? And they're like, no, not 500 hours. Like, no. 80, and it's like, no, we don't like that shit either. Okay, 20. And it was like, oh shit, that's right, this is supposed to be a long game, but we are critical pathing it though, right, Dylan? So I think we're 30-40%.
We're making progress. Yeah. But I wonder, because I didn't actually check, does it give you the percentage like the first game does? Because
I
that
don't know.
percentage telling you how far you were in the game was nice.
Yeah, it was kind of nice, but Dying Light 1, like it was like an 8-hour game, dude. Like we beat it quick.
So
like,
what?
Like, no,
It
I
was an
liked it.
8-hour
No,
game condensed and made fairly well, especially
Dalen,
for its time.
How dare you say so what, Dylan? You know I'm the give me the shortest game possible. All right, so but Dying Light 1, I did like that every session we played what, maybe an hour and a half or something, Dalen. And after every hour and a half session, like that percentage would be like it'd be 50, and then it's like 67, 68%. Like yes, making progress out here. I don't know if Dying Light 2 does that, but it is 4-player though. That's another cool little aspect that I think the original didn't have, or I think the original didn't do 4-player.
That was another problem I had with that game. Is that even though I was ahead of you in the story, and then I joined you and went back, we went way past where I was, and then you left the server, and I got reset way back to the beginning. I'm still stuck back there unless I play with you. I have better weapons now, and I'm leveled up a little bit.
I'm going to let you in on a secret, Dan, and I decided to talk about it a little bit last time. You were not on the podcast, but only the host makes progress, man. Only the host makes story progress.
Hey, man, I wish the game told me that when I decided to join.
I might have known, but, I was like, join my game. Dalen, what else you been playing? Dying Light 2? Is the Adventures in Dying Light 2? We're going to finish
I'm gonna
it
say
at
this
point, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say this, that even though that is the case with only the host makes progress, it's only fair because you lost your file for Dalan.
The power surge of 2021, was it 20?
Yeah, it was last year.
Okay, damn, that hurt a little bit. I'm still dealing with some of that crap, dude. I forget what game I loaded up the other day. I was like, oh, I think I have a save file. Oh no, I don't, because everything was murdered during that power surge of 2021. But Dying Light 2, man, it's co-op, dude. It's super stupidly wacky. It might be a little more glitchy, right? I guess, right? You feel it is, right? It's
way more glitchy.
Way more glitchy for whatever reason. But we do have a paraglider now, so we flying around. It took me. I did skip the instructions. It's always funny playing in co-op because Dalan was mad at me for like a good minute and a half. He's like, "You fucking skipped the instructions. So how are we supposed to know how to paraglide?" I'm like,
and I was barely able to figure some stuff out. And he was like, "What is happening?" He kept jumping to his doom. Trying to figure this thing out.
I wish I would have read the instructions and not skipped them. Dalan, what else you been playing, man?
So, I'm sorry. Game tip for Dying Light 2: read the instructions.
There's a lot of instructioning.
But the other game I was playing, I haven't gotten as far as Luis in it yet. I played Horizon Zero Dawn, and I beat that game, which I am super glad that I went back to beat that game. I'm going to say this: Superior Demon, David, you were right. I apologize.
Ooh, you gonna clip that for him, Dalan? You gonna clip that?
I will clip that for him, and I'll send it to him. But the fact is that when the game first came out, I was like, nah, I don't want to play this game anymore because it was like all the other games. And David was sitting there telling me, no, man, it's not like the other games. I'm surprised you don't want to beat this game. This game is so much fun. It's not what you think. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Wait.
Years later.
Look, I'm sorry to interrupt here, Dalan. But Superior Demon, I was telling you to play this game. What's happening? We've done a podcast where I was running
when did you start
game.
telling me to play this game? When did you start telling me to play this game?
We can go back. It's on wax. You guys
that's
know
what I'm
track.
talking about. No, I'm talking about David was telling me this years ago. Okay. You've been telling me this recently.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm still glad that I went back and played the game because it's still a very beautiful game and it really has its own mechanics and it brings itself into its own monster of a game. So I wish that Monster Hunter played like this, honestly, with the exception of the climbing situation. But it's still a wonderful game, and I'm glad I went and played it. It has a great story.
From what I understand, the sequel kind of has stolen a few more things from Monster Hunter. Is that? Oh, I don't know if you've played Monster Hunter.
Nope.
But Luis, have you played from what I understand, some of the mechanics are a little kind of pulled from some of the Monster games in the sequel. So, and you haven't started that one yet, Dalan?
No, I haven't started that one yet. But do you get to cook a big roast beef in the middle of nowhere and just play it to the tune of the music? Do you get to do that?
I don't think you do.
Yeah, at least.
I don't know. But the combat, Dalan, we're talking about the combat. But we're talking about the combat here. So you're glad that you kind of went through it. You have that little broken piece in your mind like I do where it's like, let me play through the first to get to the second one. Now
and I'm glad I did. And it was I gotta say, for anybody who wants to play Forbidden West, yes, play Zero Dawn.
Okay.
It fills in a lot of gaps for whatever story you're gonna see in the next game. I know it is. I haven't played the second one, but I know it's gonna fill in gaps.
Did you play through the DLC, perhaps?
I have not played through the DLC, but I did start it, so I got to meet that new tribe and the random people on top of the mountain that don't like to that want to go out and get themselves killed. I think it's the Banuk. It's a little Banuk tribe.
They want to get themselves killed, indeed.
They want to get themselves killed.
They introduced a new enemy too, right? Like the big. I don't know if you got in there yet, but
yeah. As soon as you go up the mountain, the first thing you run into is that whatever the corrupted machine. I don't even know what to call it.
Double corrupted. The
double corrupted machine. It's like a god tier corrupted machine, and it's out there trying to kill you immediately.
That DLC's not too long. That DLC, yeah, I think that was one of the few times that the game was like, oh damn, hold on, I gotta figure out how to cheese it. Let me be honest with you, how to cheese it. But there is a little bit of a strategy, right? Like you actually have to sort of strategize to take that corrupted down. What else have you been playing, Dalan?
Well, outside of that, once I beat it, I was able to focus on other things, which is things like Dying Light. But I did because we mentioned it on one of our previous podcasts. Tunic came out for free on the Xbox Game Pass, and right after it dropped, I decided to try it out. The game got review bombed hard, simply because people. Yeah, it did. It actually got review bombed because people were saying that it was basically a cookie cutter of Zelda, or it was just too hard.
Yeah,
but I guarantee that they didn't get far enough to really enjoy the game because they were too busy complaining about how hard the game is.
I don't think I saw that. I wonder what part of the internet you're on, Dalan. But it got pretty
go ahead
high
and
marks.
Look it up.
It got pretty high marks. It basically, yeah, people were actually happy that it was a Zelda type of game, and it's a hard game, right?
I mean, we have cookie cutter Metroidvania games. I mean, why not have a cookie cutter Zelda game? If it's done properly, it could still be its own thing. And Tunic is one of those games. And playing through it, quite honestly, it seems like one of those things that you could just overcome as you're going through it until you hit a boss. Once you hit a boss, then you're going to be having a rough day every single time, and you start learning new stuff. I just found out how to level my character up, and I've been holding on to these power-ups for like most of the game. So I've been doing like all this stuff at base level. I did not know I could level myself up.
That's for my strategy, dude. I wait till I'm getting murdered by something until like, you know what? I should go into the skill tree. And see what can
That's essentially what happened. Yeah. I was like, what am I missing here in life? And then I was sitting at the save point, and then it said, spend 100 gold for offering. I was like, wait, I could offer stuff?
Yeah, it's that I did try Tunic. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it is a nice little game. I just got to find the time, I guess, to go back to it and play it. We're getting down with Dying Light 2, Dalan. And also what I've been playing. Both.
That game is fun.
And what I've been playing is Chrono Trigger. I'm trying to get ready for the game. It's actually coming out in a few days. I don't think I'll make it, man. For Radical, I'm trying to get ready for Radical Dreamers and Chrono Cross, which I believe has trophies to it.
It's not a re-release of Chrono Trigger, is it? There's no re-release of Chrono Trigger coming out.
No. It's just Radical Dreamers, and which came out like a year after, I believe. And Chrono Cross, and Radical Dreamers. Is coming
What is
out.
Radical Dreamers?
It's supposed to be kind of like I'm not really sure, to be honest, Dan. I would think you would know.
I don't know what that is.
I would think you'd be the lore master on this, but from what I understand,
I don't know
it's
what
kind
the
of
hell
like
Radical
it's a follow-up to Chrono Trigger, from what I understand. Not a full-blown like sequel or anything. But it's supposed to be sort of a follow-up to that. So I'm kind of getting ready for that, but it comes out in a few days, so I don't think I will be ready. But I've been having fun with Chrono Trigger, man. Definitely a lot of auto battles when it's like the easier enemies, and I'm enjoying the strats that I need to kind of employ when I get to the bosses and the mini bosses. Like, oh, damn, I'm dying now. So it's kind of cool how it mixes up the whole you got to hit the enemies with physical attacks and then sometimes magic, and then they'll switch back and forth, or you got to hit them with a certain attack to like, okay, you lowered their defense or you lowered their fire and whatever, you know, their defenses for all that. So I'm having fun with it. It is on iOS, so it has its pros and cons, right? It's all touch control, so it's kind of like you're basically are like I'm stuck using touch controls. I'm using touch controls like on Mario Kart Wii. That I'm using touch controls or whatever, but I'm having fun with it. I'm definitely in the zone now. I talked to you about it the other day, right, Dylan? That I'm kind of like, I'm in the zone. I'm like, I just want to keep playing Chrono Trigger and see it to the end. I know I keep ribbing you about it, Dalan, on our chat that we have, our RPG chat.
You were trying to,
and I was like, I kept saying like, Dalan, these cutscenes were on the SNES version because I thought you said that the cutscenes were on the SNES. Like these cutscenes were not on the SNES. But it's weird. It has a nice little interesting vibe to the cutscenes. Like it's very
if you're
like.
Gonna say this, clarify what you just said about me right now. You don't put it on wax.
Yeah, I put it on wax that you thought that it was on SNES, the cutscenes. But
no, I never thought that.
Re-release. But the moral of the story, Dylan, is those cutscenes come in the necessary times where it's like, oh, okay, damn, I'm kind of looking forward to those cutscenes, which it kind of makes me glad that I didn't play like the SNES original, because those cutscenes, they're a little funky, but I like them though. I do like them. It's very early 90s, right? You said it was kind of like what, Dylan, like Dragon Ball or something like that? Like it was very.
Oh, the art, it's very Akira Toriyama.
Yeah, so it's very. Yeah, it actually reminded me a little bit of Blue Dragon, I guess, kind of in that style. The 360 game.
Same art.
Yeah, the same guy, right? So,
yep.
Yeah, I'm having fun with Chrono Trigger. The battle system is nice, even though it is, it's an old game. It's an old game, but it's still fun to play. The auto battles option is super nice, because otherwise I'd be just sitting there.
This is the first time I've known you to actually sit through an RPG at all. It's like you tried to play it, aside from Final Fantasy Remake. There's two RPGs. I do remember one other RPG.
What is it? Man? It's like this is like one of the best RPGs ever made, by the way.
Skies of Arcadia. Yeah, I know you were playing that one.
Skies of Arcadia, dude. Thing is beautiful.
But now I could only think of literally 2.5 games that you actually played like all the way.
Sometimes they're nice.
In regards to RPG. RPGs, this is what RPGs have been. That's one of the reasons why Final Fantasy VII, the original, was so good. You had that opening cutscene, it was beautiful, but then you go to the polygon blocky, like big old hands type of thing, like you could break walls with them. Yeah. And then later on, you hit the certain part of the story, you're like, oh, I got a beautiful cutscene. A train is like careening through a town. It's freaking beautiful. You play the game to get to the next cutscene.
Yeah,
having that experience.
That's been a lot of games, but yeah, I think especially in this game, where it's like it's in 2D and all of a sudden, okay, we're entering a cutscene, a 2D animated cutscene, where it's like at the most impact, because they don't. I don't think they have too many cutscenes, but they have like in the punchy moments, right? It's like, oh damn, I did need that cutscene right now. But games have been doing that for a while. But since we've had FMVs in games, it's not just RPGs, right? It's like a lot of games where it's like, oh, I can't wait to see what the God of War is up to, right? Like the next cutscene, the next thing.
I think what was it? Shinobi did that.
Yeah, Shinobi. Yes, Shinobi would congratulate you after some hard ass level that you had to beat. I forgot about Shinobi, but Shinobi was nice, dude. And that one was definitely unfair. Ninja Gaiden, we talked about how it at least is kind of fair in its difficulty, but Shinobi was not. It was trying to kick your ass the whole time. But it did.
By the way,
yeah.
I'm just going to bring it up because I looked it up. I was like, what is the Radical Dreamers? It is Chrono Cross, parentheses, the Radical Dreamers, or a semicolon, the Radical Dreamers.
Like
so that is the
prequel.
subtitle for the game.
Is it a prequel, kind of, to Chrono Cross?
No, it's Chrono Cross.
No, it's not.
It's just called Chrono. It's Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition.
Yeah, but Radical Dreamers is like a separate thing. I don't know if it's like prequel or after Chrono Trigger, but it's because Chrono Cross is Chrono Cross. Radical Dreamers, it's its own thing because Radical Dreamers came out. Yeah,
you got to play Chrono Cross after Radical.
Yeah, because Radical Dreamers came out like a year after. Because I think Chrono Trigger was like 95, I believe, and Radical Dreamers came out 96, and Chrono Cross was what, 99, 2000 maybe?
Yeah, 99.
Yeah, so it was a couple
something like that.
But I don't know if I'll be ready. I mean, I'll try, but these are long games we're dealing with over here.
These are RPGs. They will keep you going for 60 hours, 45 to 60 hours.
I'm critical pathing as much as I can, man.
Critical pathing is 45 hours to 60 hours.
So we'll see. We'll see how far I make it. That's been what you've been playing. Our zinger here for the week is I put up a picture here. It's a Robo Burger, a vending machine that started showing up around the world. This one that we're looking at is like a red kind of net. What is that thing called? Red box kind of looking thing where you put in your condiment orders and your whatever. It's a burger robo, and there's a vending machine of it in New Jersey. Would you guys get a burger from a robo machine, a robo vending machine, Lisa? I got a picture of the burger. The burger looks okay, I suppose.
Yeah, burger looks fine. I'd try it out, see what it's like. I mean, gotta try it at least once.
They did say that it's a restaurant in miniature, so at least they're cooking it, I guess, I suppose. Dalen?
No.
Oh,
because I'm going to say this because I was actually just watching what was it, Stephen Colbert, and he has this segment called Cybergasm or something like that. And yes, he does that pun on purpose.
Phrasing.
But in it, they have now what they call Flipper 2. Where they are putting a mechanical arm in a White Castle to cook burgers for people in order to give customers more memorable experiences. And you can only think to yourself, what happened to Flipper 1? But still.
Yeah. Why did they just jump to Flipper 2 here?
Exactly. But the fact is they got these mechanical arms trying to make food, and I'm like, I don't trust it. We're getting closer and closer to this whole Skynet thing. I'm not trying to get there.
Mm-hmm. Dalan, you did work. You did work at the famous double arches, right? Wait, is it the double arches or the single arches?
The golden arches.
The golden arches. There you go. You did work. Does this have? Do you feel like you have a beef against them because you want to continue like seeing the double arches here or the golden arches?
I will say this. I was not cooking the food. I was on register the whole time. I'm not trying to stand over a hot grill 8 hours a day trying to cook some cheap burgers for people who are going to be ungrateful about it. All right?
And with that, Carlos Macias, Master of Arms or Ceremonies, thank you for joining us on another Salient Point. Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel, thank you very much, sir. And Dalan Kirkwood, man.
You're like, who is this man?
Hey, Dalan Kirkwood, Stay off the grill, man. Stay off the green.
Hey, no, respect your fast food workers just a little bit more. You don't have to respect them entirely, but at least a little bit.
Dalan, but
still making your food.
Damn, but what if the ice cream machine is like broken? Like, what do you do then? Do you still respect?
Then I'll just call Flipper 2. He'll do something about it.
Hey, Flipper's on it, dude. Flipper's on the case. All right. Flipper 2 is on the case.